get embarrassed in Game 4 at Pittsburgh and lose 7-2. They gave up 5 goals in the second period. There's just no defense to speak of. Just team defense is just not a thing, especially in these 2 games at Pittsburgh. And I would say overall in general in this series, just a massive disappointment. Rangers are now down 3-1 in the series. And, do I think that they can win Game 5? I do. I think they can win Game 5, but I think the chances of them winning this series, I think, are very, very slim. You never know what can happen. You got to take it game by game. But just the way they're playing is not encouraging. And I really think that a lot of that falls on really the core group of the team. And really, blame goes across the board. But for me, and maybe, when you compare things, it changes perspective. But I think the young players, for the most part, I think they've done a good enough job. Where I was a little bit concerned about maybe what they would do, I think this has been very good learning experience for them, and I think that they have held their own. It's really, for me, more so Mika Zibanejad. It is Chris Kreider. It is Artemi Panarin, Ryan Strome, Jacob Trouba. The leadership core of this team is really, really just not getting it done. And Gerard Gallant as well deserves some blame too, because, look, this falls on him. This is his team. And for them to play like that, down to one of the series is just very, very concerning. For a team that all season long was very impressive. They simply were. This was really not a smoke and mirrors situation. This was a 110 point win team this season who was just awfully impressive. And look, that the playoffs are going to be ratcheted up to another level. And Pittsburgh has been through the battles. They know this, where the Rangers don't. That you knew that was going to be a thing going in. Inexperience in that sense, in the grand sense, compared to Pittsburgh, was going to be critical. But this team, has just done a very good job just structurally. Sure, was it perfect? No. But, obviously Igor was fantastic this season, but the team itself just really limited the high-quality scoring chances and were able to, like I said, they didn't have any losing streak of 3 games, of at least 3 games. It happened once earlier in the year, and in those games, like I said, they got a couple of points within it as well. And then they did have a 3-game losing streak at the end of the year when they sat guys against Montreal. You can't even count that. The point is that there was a consistency. They bounced back. This was just completely different. And for me, this harkens back to a couple of series for different reasons. I'm going to say more so 2006. 2006, the Rangers had a pretty long, much longer than this playoff drought, 7 seasons. And they finally make it in 2006, and the Devils swept them. It was a very fun regular season for the Rangers. They were not expected to do anything, and they really got it done, but they really collapsed towards the end of the season. Injuries started to become a factor. And for me, it was a rookie, Henrik Lundqvist. Jaromir Jagr was amazing that year. And so for me, as it turns out now, this is looking like it's 2006, which was the beginning of a lot of good times for the Rangers. It took them a while to really advance, but that was a perennial playoff team. And I see this as well being a team that makes the playoffs, year in, year out. But this is, I didn't think it'd be like this, but it's like 2006, but also from a Pittsburgh sense, 2016. This feels like 2016 where, if you remember, Jeff Zatkov was like the 3rd string goalie, kind of similar to Domingue. And the Rangers they got blown out in Game 4 and 5 in a big time way. Lundqvist got pulled in I think 4 and 5. Antti Raanta, I believe, was the backup in 16. But it has that sort of feel, which really 16, you could almost see it coming, even though at that point we were coming off of, making the Cup final in 14 and winning the President's Trophy in 15 and losing to the Lightning in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Final. But 16, that felt a little bit like smoke and mirrors, that club. Although obviously there was optimism, but the Rangers had beaten the Penguins the 2 years prior. But anyway, for it to be like this, I didn't expect this. And the series isn't over yet. There's more to be written into what, if the Rangers lose in this fashion Game 5, then it just even accentuates it. I do think they will bounce back to some degree. I don't think it will be easy for the Rangers, but I think, the crowd will be behind them. I could see the Rangers winning Game 5. I wouldn't, put my life on it, but I could see that. But overall, this was why home ice advantage, I think, was important in the series and why the game one loss was so critical. If they could have just somehow won that game, which they were very close to doing, and I think should have won, if you can win the first two, at least, all right, you're back 2-2. You're back 2-2 with home ice still in your favor, but they couldn't do it. And so this has been a very frustrating series on many, many levels. But just to go through the game, the Rangers take the lead. The Rangers take the early lead, and you're thinking, all right, here we go. At 2:06, it's the first goal of his NHL career for Alexis Lafreniere, assisted by Braden Jenner. This was a really nice shift by the kid line that leads to the Rangers taking a 1-0 lead. But at 10:37, it's a penalty by guess who? Patrick Nemeth, high sticking. Patrick Nemeth, it's been a disaster. That's a terrible signing by Chris Drury. A 3-year contract for a guy that just, to me, doesn't look all that good, takes a lot of penalties. And that is just not a good signing for someone who is paid. I need to check this and confirm this. This is someone who I believe is paid close to maybe a little less than 2.5 mil per season. I believe. I think that number is about that. Nemeth is paid. Yep, right on that. 2.5 for 3 seasons. That is a horrendous contract by Drury. So he takes that penalty, and it eventually leads to a power play goal because the Rangers' special teams has all of a sudden become terrible. Certainly in these games at Pittsburgh, it's Sidney Crosby scoring his second goal of the playoffs. And this is a somewhat of a controversial goal. It was the right call. And I believe that the call on the ice was goal, but it wasn't obvious because, NHL, this shit happens where, I should know what the call on the ice was, whether it was goal or no goal. I think it was goal. And then based on the replay, which really it took like this one replay for you to finally see that it was a goal, but it's just tough that it seems like every close call is going the Pittsburgh's way. And sometimes that happens. And in this case, like that ultimately probably was the right call, but it's a tough pill to swallow, and the Rangers have just been weak mentally in this series, and so sometimes it really is tougher to bounce back from that. So the Rangers would have their one power play as Crosby trips Zibanejad at 15:38, but the Rangers are unsuccessful on this power play, and so it's 1-1 going to the second, which, okay, like not the end of the world. Like you're upset about it because the Rangers had the early lead, but it's 1-1, not the other one, but things just absolutely go haywire for the Rangers in the second period. It was ridiculous. As at 3:14 off a face-off win by Crosby against Zibanejad, it's a goal by Mike Matheson, 3:14 of the second. And the puck kind of goes off of Vetrano up top, and it goes past Shesterkin to make it 2-1. Then 24 seconds later, it's a goal by Jake Gensel, his 5th goal of the series. And so that makes it 3-1 just like that. And the Zibanejad line has been getting absolutely creamed by the Crosby line. It's not even close. Mika Zibanejad, it's a major disappointment what he's done. And like I said, Chris Kreider as well. And Frank Vetrano, who expectations need to be less for Vetrano, and he's had his moments. I mean, Vetrano in game 2 was fantastic. He scored again in game 3. Vetrano ends up getting demoted to like the 4th line by the time the game was over. Defensively, Vetrano is just not great. So the Rangers don't really have a shutdown line due to injuries for Blais, Mott, and most importantly, Goodrow. Those are huge losses that deplete the depth and puts other players in different positions. Those were huge, as well as, while I'm at it, Ryan Lindgren was out again. The one lineup change was Brodzinski for Hunt. That's not really too much of a significant change. I thought Brodzinski looked pretty good in the times that I noticed them. But anyway, it's 3-1 Pittsburgh, and then they would make it 4-1 at 11:22. Mark Friedman scores his first goal of the series, and this was a play where I believe the Zibanejad line was on again for this one against like the 4th line for Pittsburgh. The Rangers do score at 14:04. It's Adam Fox with his second goal of the series from Panarin, and Zibanejad makes it 4-2. I thought Adam Fox had a terrible game. I know he scores this goal, but I thought Fox was awful. Effort level wasn't exactly there. Fox, who, isn't one of my main culprits for the series, I thought he was awful in this game. And then at 18, and then it's 4-2, and really the daggers come at the end of the second. It's a goal, deflected goal. I think both were deflected, these 2 goals. Danton Heinen scores his second of the series at 18:53. Then Jeff Carter scores his third at 19:28. And I think the Carter goal was a lost faceoff by Hedl. And the Heinen goal, that might have been, I think Strome might have messed up the Heinen goal, if I remember correctly. It all blends together at this point. It really does. So 6-2, Georgiev starts the third. Shesterkin pulled, which I agreed with. The game was over at that point, and Kreider takes a high sticking penalty at 2:53. Rangers kill it off. Evgeny Malkin scores a goal at 12:22 against Georgiev. His second goal of the series gives the Penguins a 7-2 lead. And then Brodzinski takes a cross-checking penalty at 13:20. Rangers kill that off. No big deal. Didn't matter. Pittsburgh dominates and wins 7-2. Just the most disappointing game of the series. Because really, when you think about it, to this point, even though I felt like things were sloppy, they were. The Rangers, they lost in triple overtime in game 1. They won, and I thought were the better team in game 2. Game 3, the final score is 7-4, but really the last 2 goals were empty net goals. So they really lost by 1 there and a goal in the third period. So everything to that point had been fairly close. This was just destroyed. Totally destroyed and had no answer. So where do the Rangers go from here? That is the question. And I don't know. Game 5, we'll see what it brings in terms of returns to the lineup. I hope Lindgren comes back, even if it's a diminished Lindgren. I hope that he's in there. I still don't think Tyler Mott. It'd be a pleasant surprise if he's in there. I think if the Rangers won game 5, maybe you eventually see him. I think there's a chance, but it feels a little too soon. Like maybe Friday. Like maybe for game 6, maybe Tyler Mott makes a reappearance. But I don't think for Wednesday. And then as far as other lineup changes, who knows? Like I'd love to get Nemeth out of there. I wouldn't mind giving Zach Jones a shot at this point. It's a different look. Give him some speed. What the Rangers really do need, though, is some fucking physicality. They as Glenn said, they were soft. Very, very soft. The Penguins are getting these, greasy net front goals, and the Rangers are just letting it happen. The Rangers, there is a lack of physicality. And like I said, the players that are missing, it just so happens, they all happen to be more of the physical types. That's still no excuse, and why I think the Rangers, they need a bit of an infusion of physicality in that core. So it does raise questions about, like I said, and I don't want to get into that fully now while the series is still going on, but whether, the core of the Rangers will be effective in the playoff battles. Depth is something you can address, and a fully healthy squad could alleviate some of the issues that are going on, but still, Chris Drury is going to have some interesting decisions to make in the offseason, definitely. And if this series exposes some weaknesses, then good. Honestly, but very disappointing what's gone on here. Definitely did not expect it to be like this. I don't think anyone did. How could you? Based on the way that the Rangers have played against Pittsburgh specifically. The Rangers looked amazing to start game 1. You're thinking, all right, this is a continuation of the regular season. Rangers should be able to win this series without much of a problem. And it is just completely turned. So I would expect a better Ranger effort and a better Ranger performance at MSG. Rangers have to, they're on the brink of elimination. This is it. This is literally a must-win game. If the Rangers lose, their season is over. And I would expect the Rangers to put their best foot forward and do what they can in game 5. With that being said, I do not think it'll be easy, and I do think that their chances of winning the series are very, very slim. But you got to take it a game at a time. You win game 5, all of a sudden, you never know. The Rangers, they did come back from 3-1 down in 2014 against Pittsburgh and in 2015, but that was a completely different Ranger club, different makeup entirely. I don't think the Rangers have that in them now. And so we shall see what Game 5 presents. But this was a humiliating performance by the Rangers as they lose Game 4 and are now down 3-1 in the series after the 7-2 loss.